So we're here at module 2, and before we start teaching some exercises and some games, we're going to be looking at why exactly you should be doing nose work with your dog. And there are lots of reasons. Now, I have two sons who are both mad on superheroes, Spider-Man, Superman and the X-Men. But did you know that you have a superhero or a creature with superhuman powers in the basket in the corner of your living room? And I'm obviously talking about your dog, yeah? Because the dog's nose is his greatest superpower. So let's look a little bit at the science of scent and find out a bit more why dogs have such an amazing nose. Well, it's estimated that dogs have around 300 million scent receptors in their nose, and us humans, we just have a paltry 6 million. Dogs can smell around 30,000 to 100,000 individual smells, but we humans can only detect around 4 to 10,000. So what does this mean? Well, it means that it's estimated anyway that a dog's nose is anywhere from 10,000 to 100,000 times more powerful than our nose. And even if we just take the lower figure of 10,000 and we compare that analogy to, say, vision, then what we could see clearly at a distance of 1/3 of a mile, our dogs will be able to see clearly at a distance of 3,000 miles. So that just gives us some idea as to how powerful the dog's nose is, how amazingly detailed, and it's no surprise, I suppose, why a dog's nose gets him into so much trouble because of this, yeah? Dogs can smell fox poo in the woods that they go and find, and it smells so delicious to them that they feel the need to roll in it and take that smell home with them too, yeah? Much to our disappointment. The dog's nose gets them into trouble at home too, where they can find food that's cooling on the kitchen countertops, you know, and we hear many stories about dogs pinching whole chickens or mince that's defrosting. About 20 years ago, my first dog, she pinched a whole pack of frozen mince and demolished it. Yeah, so a dog's nose, if we don't provide an outlet for it, it's going to get him into a lot of trouble. And it's really easy to switch this on its head and to flip it. And if we can provide something that our dogs, an outlet for the dog's amazing sense of smell, we can much more go up in the dog's estimation. The dog will look to us more for the fun in its life, and we'll find the dog will be much easier to control when we take them to the park and at home too, because we're going to be able to share some games with the dog that involve him using his nose and that keep him close to us. And any dog can do scent work as well. Older dogs, younger dogs, medium-aged dogs. Older dogs especially, you know, when an older dog may get more stiff with his joints and maybe their eyesight might go a little bit, they still have a pretty good sense of smell. So providing a nose game or some sort of outlet for them to find their food is a great way to keep them engaged, keep them motivated and to stimulate them a bit, rather than thinking, you know, oh, my dog's old now, he can't chase a ball anymore because it makes him limp, so he can't do anything. Yes, he can still, or she can still play some nose games, and you'll find that your older dog will find that really, really interesting. Puppies too. Puppies are usually very food motivated. They're usually very hungry, and puppies are naturally very, very playful. So it's not very difficult at all to use food for puppies to find, to keep them engaged, to keep them interested in us, and to use toys as well. Once you've got your puppy interested in a toy, if he has a favorite toy, then you could use that to play some of the find it games and the searching games that I'm going to show you later on in this training course. So any dogs, and you know, obviously the medium-aged dogs as well, of which most of us are going to own a dog that isn't a puppy or isn't an older dog. He's just going to be a dog that's bumbling along with his life, and providing some nose games for your dog is going to transform your relationship with him, because something magical happens when you start playing scent work games and nose games with your dog. Your dog kind of, in my experience, your dog will look at you a little bit differently, you know. He'll think that, oh yeah, you know, my owner really gets me, you know, my owner's helping me to find these things, and this is an exercise in a game that we're doing together, and we're sharing an activity. So rather than when you take your dog to the park, sometimes you can both be walking separately. You'll be walking and your dog will be walking along, sniffing bushes and looking for things on the ground. If you're playing nose games and scent work or finding food and toys in the park, then you're going to be walking and working together. You know, this is going to help keep your dog safer. It's going to help keep your dog near you, and it's also going to help with other problems as well, like recall or reactivity, because if you can tap into your dog's nose and really get into some of the games that I'm going to show you, some of the easy to play games that I'm going to show you, then you'll find that your dog will be more interested in you than he will be in barking or lunging at that other dog that he sees in the park. And he'll be more interested in staying with you when you're in the park, so you won't have a recall problem, yeah? Because the recall problem is obviously your dog being overly interested in something else, a bird, a squirrel, or another dog. Whereas if we're the thing that's providing the fun for the dog, it's going to keep the dog near us, and it's going to keep the dog, you know, interested in us, and we're going to enjoy our walks much more. They're going to be much less stressful walks. So any dog can play nose work games, and you should make sure that your dog isn't getting overly tired when we're playing these games. None of these games are too intensive, but certainly on hot days, you want to make sure that your dog has lots of access to water, and that his nose is nice and wet, because when the dog is overly stimulated and he's sniffing and concentrating too much, you know, he can burn himself out a little bit. So make sure that the emphasis is always on fun and your dog enjoying himself and wagging his tail, rather than, you know, we're not really trying to turn our dogs into scent detection, police dogs, search dogs. Yeah, this is just fun nose work games for you and your dog to have a better, more enjoyable life and a more enjoyable walks when you go to the park too. So in the next module, we're going to start looking at some of the games, and we're going to start with nose games using food.